Okay, so do you want to lead us off in prayer?
Sure.
Okay.
Dear God, you have blessed us with your abundant bounty, and you have commanded us to share your bounty, to share your abundance to all your children during this season of renewal, of hope, of freedom. Please bless us and guide us to have the wisdom, to have the compassion, to work toward greater abundance, greater freedom, and greater blessing for all your children. Amen.
Yes, thank you, Lord. Father, we thank you, Lord, for this time that I have and fellowship with my brother Josh. Thank you, Father, for giving him the desire. I'm honored, Lord, that he said yes. And so I thank you for him taking out some time of his schedule to work with us and to be a blessing to those who watch us. And that is our prayer, that you bless those that are watching, that they will get joy and laughter and thought uh, as we have fun together and making a meal to honor you. We thank you, Lord, in your name, Jesus. Amen. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to Seasoned on Purpose, savory and delicious home style cooking. I am so excited today that we have a guest here, Rabbi Josh, and he's cooking a dish for us that relates to Passover. And he's here. Hi, Rabbi Josh. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, listen, I'm so excited to have you here. Rabbi Josh has agreed to come on and talk about this delicious sounding dish that they prepare for Passover. So, Rabbi Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself and the purpose of this dish and the name of it and everything.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for inviting me to do this. I feel very honored and excited to participate. So this dish is called tzimmes. So it's like a TS, tzimmes. Tzimmes, which is Yiddish for a simmering dish.
Okay.
Like so it's, but in Yiddish, the s is like a you put a little T in there. So it's tzimmes.
Tzimmes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
You're being nice.
Like it's like pizza. It's like the Z from pizza. So it's tzimmes, just
Tzimmes.
like pizza. Tzimmes.
Got it.
Okay.
Tzimmes.
Yes. So this is a.
Oh, spell it for us.
So it's TZIMM, Mike ES, tzimmes.
Okay, got it.
So this is an Eastern European Jewish dish.
Okay.
And because out of necessity, root vegetables can grow in all sorts of environments.
Yeah.
And they're inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
And they're delicious.
They are.
And on Passover, a lot of the food items that we're used to eating during the year are not are restricted on Passover. Because there's a restriction against having anything with leavened grain. So bread or bagels or pizza. And the custom has been that the only thing we use that we cook with flour is the matzah,
Okay.
is the unleavened bread. Otherwise, we don't use flour as a base. If we're making some sort of dish with a roux, we don't use flour. So there are a lot of dishes that really don't work for Passover.
Okay.
And
And so why I have a couple of questions,
sure.
but why this dish in particular?
So I like this dish. So first of all,
It's a traditional dish.
it's a traditional dish and it doesn't involve flour.
Okay.
So we, like when I was growing up, we had a lot of potatoes during Passover.
Mm.
Potatoes, potatoes, potatoes. I I prefer sweet potatoes, and you know, it has a lot more flavor.
Yes.
And
it's nutritional as
and
well.
it has a lot more nutrition in it.
Yes.
And what I was hoping also to convey through this recipe is I'm very interested in expressing my Judaism in a very multicultural way. As people have this concept that Jews, like American Jews, are people that look like me.
Yes.
There are Jews of all ethnicities coming from all cultures. There are Jews of African descent, of Asian descent, of various places in Europe. And I wanted to choose a dish that fit different cultures. And so, you know, a root vegetable dish is a pretty multicultural dish just because of what's available, you know, where yams can grow, where sweet potatoes grow, where you can get carrots. So I was doing some research as to like what other cultures have like a yam or a sweet potato based stew. And there's I was looking in there's an Ethiopian dish that is traditional. There is in West Africa as is a Yoruba dish. So, and in Asia, like in Central Asia, this is a dish. It has, and this particular one has a lot of, you know, it has a lot of sweetness, some savory.
Right.
Mainly sweetness.
Right.
And it complements, so to me, it represents what Passover should be, which is something, a promise of freedom that represents all cultures and all peoples. And there is a tradition to eat food cooked in liquid on Passover. And it's to set it apart from, you know, in ancient times, there was a tradition of having a roast paschal lamb.
Yes.
In the book of Exodus, chapter 12, it talks about that each household takes a lamb and roasts it on the eve of Passover.
Yes.
It has to be roasted. So we contrast so we don't do that anymore because we don't offer animal sacrifice. That's not part of Jewish tradition anymore.
Right. Okay.
So that's not part of the ritual.
Right.
For 2,000 years.
Yes.
So, but to contrast you know, that tradition with other foods, we tend to have more, you know, food that's cooked in liquid. So that's where the Tzimmes comes from. And when I was growing up, we didn't eat a lot of red meat growing up. I grew up in a very, very large family. I have 7 siblings.
Oh, wow.
And so getting beef was a very rare thing for us because beef is very expensive. So my mother would make chicken soup with a lot of chicken. And basically the main dish was the stewed chicken.
Right, right.
And as opposed to roast chicken, again, because A, it's, there's a chicken anyways in the chicken soup, and B, because there is this tradition of having food that's cooked in liquid
Mm,
as a to contrast it from the roast lamb.
right. It's still symbolic.
Yeah, so it's
Mhm.
symbolic. So boiled carrots and uh, some potato dishes. I wrote this actually in the blog post
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
that the way the food that we had for the Seder feast growing up was tended to be very simple, kind of light.
Mm-hmm.
The focus was not so much on having, not about having a heavy meal. It was about discussing the story, singing
That's
songs.
right. More of a
So
quiet, reflective time.
it wasn't quiet,
It wasn't quiet.
quiet at all.
Great.
Now,
That's right. You had a family, you had a big brood there.
yeah, because we'd have guests and my grandparents. I mean,
Oh, it's a festive time.
festive. It's 15, 16 people.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Not
It's not
anymore.
how I picture Passover in ancient times. I pictured Passover to be quiet and reflective and ready to like go the next.
Well, that Passover described in the book of Exodus
Right,
was a pretty quiet, yes.
right.
And
That's my interpretation of the celebration of Passover now, but it's not. It's festive.
it's very festive.
Okay, okay.
It is very festive. And the Seder feast is meant to be a generally a festive, a joyous, sharing,
Oh my gosh.
sharing and connection
Yeah.
ceremony. And it was actually, this comes from, and I forget exactly the chapter in Isaiah, so
Hmm.
where it contrasts a redemptive time in the future, a time of redemption for all God's children from the Exodus, that the Exodus happened in great haste. There is a small window of opportunity.
Yes.
There was suffering involved.
Yes.
That a time of, universal redemption would be a time for celebrating. So we're kind of moving away from
Yes.
that escape mentality to more of this is celebrating and inspiring redemption,
Mm. Oh, I like that.
more universal redemption. So,
Yes.
and there is also a commandment to rejoice on the holidays, on the major holidays, and Passover is one of the major holidays.
Yes. And does Passover start today, this evening?
Passover starts this evening.
Yes, at 6 o'clock.
The sun sets around 7.
7. Oh, that's right. Sunset. Yes, yes, yes. And are you preparing what we're getting ready to fix now? Are you preparing some of that for tonight?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So, Rabbi Josh, tell us a little bit about you and your like your, I don't know, tell us something about like your profession or whatever you want us to know, and then we'll get started.
I am so I'm a rabbi, and I've been doing the work that I've been doing for over 25 years.
Wow.
And I work in elder care. So I work in a nursing home, personal care facility around, I'm in, around 15 miles from where I live.
Okay.
It's up in Montgomery County,
Okay.
Wales.
Right.
And I've been working at this particular place for 11 years. We moved from New York. I worked in a place in Connecticut, and I found since I was a teenager that I've loved working with elders,
Mm.
and there is something about working with people in their 80s and 90s and beyond. There's actually someone who is 108 years old
Oh,
at who lives where I work.
oh my. And they survived this COVID season.
Not only that, but this person was around for the last pandemic in 1918.
Wow.
That here is a person whose life,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
has spanned both pandemics, which are separated by 102 years.
That's amazing.
And so I started over 25 years ago working with people who were born in the 1890s.
Mm, mm,
And some people who had, not many, who had great, great, wait, great, great grandchildren.
mm.
So 5 generations. And I've worked with a lot of people who survived the Holocaust. I've worked with people from all sorts of backgrounds, and elders as a group have a lot of wisdom to impart. They teach me, and they have taught me how to enjoy life and how to
Mm,
celebrate life, even when life presents many different challenges.
mm. That's
You know,
rich.
it's not easy being old. Being 85,
No.
95 involves a lot of aches and pains, and the stuff that we do in the prime of our lives are no longer accessible to us at that point in our lives. And so finding ways to celebrate life, to enjoy life, even with the limitations that aging places on us, and actually to celebrate aging.
Mm,
So I really find it very fulfilling to work with elders, and I also very much enjoy working in a healthcare setting. Many rabbis work, in their own congregations. I like working in a healthcare setting.
yes.
I work with a very diverse group of people, and I find that therefore work is a very diverse, multicultural experience and a very rich experience. I find that I'm able to teach people,
Mm,
both residents and also fellow, colleagues, coworkers, and I also learn from them.
mm, mm,
And so I feel that I've become a better person, a much better person, a much
mm.
person who sees the world hopefully in a way that's a less stupid than the way I used to see the world. That's one of my goals in life, is to be a little less stupid than I used to be.
Really. That's the goal, surely.
So,
Growing in grace, right?
so like I do, since I work in a Jewish facility, when new staff come in, I am part of orienting staff, and I talk about Jewish tradition, I talk about aspects of Jewish history, and health in this area, and in the Northeast in general.
Yeah.
In healthcare, there are a lot of women of color who work in um, various capacities in healthcare.
Yeah.
And I find that we connect when we talk about suffering, when we talk about freedom from oppression, when we talk about things like the Holocaust and how hatred and supremacy are so toxic and poisonous. And there are a lot of times that we end up crying together
Oh,
about uh, our respective histories that have involved suffering and therefore how we need to work together
Yeah.
to combat hatred, to combat oppression,
Yeah.
and to, and to be a loving presence,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to be the agent of love, be
Yeah.
as I like to frame it as being an agent of God's love.
Yeah.
Allow
Yeah.
God's love to flow through us as we take care of people, as we take care of each other, to do so in a spirit of fellowship and in a spirit of, I would almost, in the spirit of peace. And I also talk about a lot with in the various discussion groups about
Mm.
many of the challenges that the world faces today, whether it's systemic racism, whether it's, well, obviously the pandemic,
Yeah.
climate change, and the various types of phobias and hatreds that plague our society.
Yeah.
And they have a perspective that I take on, which is we don't only live for our own time, we also
Yeah.
have to live for the future.
Yeah.
What kind of world, what kind of legacy as a community are we leaving behind? What kind of world are we leaving for the next generation?
Absolutely.
And I believe that that is an absolute requirement for us collectively
Mm.
to leave behind the world that is a little bit better, and that is, Dr. King talks about uh, the arc bending toward justice.
Yes.
So being part of bending that arc,
Yes,
and
indeed.
that we need to leave this earth in a way that the next, whether it's our own children or other people's children, the world's children,
Yeah.
don't have to clean up so much of our mess. We're going to leave. I know that my generation, I'm 51. I know we're going to leave a big mess behind. It's just we're very messy.
Yes. Yes.
We're
Yes.
messing up this planet. We're messing up a lot. So um, I hope that I feel is a very strong purpose in my life to be part of one of the mess cleaners, so that the world's a little less messy
A
for the,
little less messy for our younger generation that's
yeah,
coming up.
yeah, yeah, that we figure out some of this stuff so that
Yes.
people can go to a supermarket without fear, that people can drive
Oh
regardless
my
of
gosh.
grade,
Yes.
to drive on without fear, that people can go to school without fear.
We have a lot of work to do. But I think, Josh, that what we're doing today is a part of that growth. You know, if we weren't in COVID season, uh, we would be together.
Yeah,
I would certainly invite you over and we could cook together. And I would love to do that at another occasion when it's safe
yep,
to be with each other. So I don't look at this as just being a cooking session for us or cooking instruction. I think it's all a part of accomplishing what we're set out to do is to fellowship,
mm-hmm,
fellowship with each other. You're Jewish, I'm Christian, but we're heading into the same direction and trying to make this world more livable for our next generation with camaraderie, with understanding, with peace, and to have a little joy
yeah,
in the process. Yeah, we have our differences, but we also have a lot in common.
Yep.
And so it's important for me and for you, I'm sure, to find that common denominator and grow from there.
Yes. Yes. And I, I also feel it's part of my faith and part of my requirement to be part of undoing the founding injustice of this country, and that we, um, as a person, who's white, who has white privilege, that I, to be more, to become, to educate myself more
Yeah,
about the ways in which there is injustice, to the ways in which I may be contributing unknowingly to
mm,
oppression and injustice. This
yeah,
is the part where becoming a little less stupid.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It is very easy to be blind to the suffering of others and to only feel our own situation,
yeah.
and that we need to open our hearts and we need to be part of, especially during Passover time, of creating more justice.
Yeah.
And there's, I mean, this is a celebration of the exodus of a people from bondage. And there is therefore a very strong relationship between, that the story of the exodus of the ancient Hebrews and the story that people of African descent who, were brought to this country against their will and were oppressed for hundreds of years, and that there's still that legacy and that reality of oppression.
That's right.
And as and therefore the tradition of Exodus is also, from what I've learned, is very much woven into you know, to the African American and to the Black American tradition as well, about freedom and about demanding freedom and working toward freedom. And to me, when I think about the 10 plagues, to me, this is what happens in a world that is full of injustice and oppression, that it creates disaster,
Yes, it
and
does.
it creates disaster that hurts everyone.
Yes.
And that what we need to do is to combat that. And this is one of the reasons that I'm very honored that you asked me
Hmm.
to join you in this endeavor.
Yes.
And I so I'm hoping uh, that that this is really a positive experience, and a meaningful experience, and also, we get to laugh a lot too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I really appreciate what you said. And, you know, in order to understand where a person is coming from
Mhm.
and to appreciate what a race has gone through
Mhm.
is to be open to criticism,
Mhm.
to be open to conversation,
Mhm.
and to be an active listener.
Yes.
And I think if one can do those three things and be willing to say, That is something I hadn't thought about before.
Yes.
Let me, and it's a good point, let me ponder on that. Or even argue, but in love and in respect of each other, and say, well, I don't have any history of that, you know? And I think that it takes conversation. That's the first step, being willing to communicate and being respectful of a person's stance, right or wrong, in or out, you know, but being respectful of what they're saying, and then move on from there. And so I am excited about us doing this together. And you're coming again next week. We're going to do another cooking instruction. And who knows, we'll just see what this comes out of, and maybe even do more of this and see what happens. I'm excited. And thank you for agreeing to do this. I reached out to my friend Malia and her husband Kendon, and they had you in mind, and it's been a pleasure communicating with you. And so, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, it was very interesting when Kendon texted me, and it was like out of the blue, and it felt, yeah, this was right. This was right. And I've enjoyed all of our interactions, Zooming and emailing each other, and
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to a time when we can be together, not on screens.
that's right. And I'm a hugger, so I can't wait.
All right.
Okay, so I think we better get started. These are the ingredients. I think you said 3 yams, right?
Yeah, three yams sounds like a good number.
Are we going to start with the yams?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay. So I'm telling my audience that the best way that I've learned, my mom taught me, I'm telling you, that the best way to peel yams, sweet potatoes, whatever, I boil them first. And so when you boil them first, you can just cut the edge off right there. And it just comes off so easily.
Okay.
And so it doesn't take any, see how easily that's coming off. So it doesn't take any time at all. And so whether you're preparing this dish or any other dish that includes yams or sweet potatoes, souffle, pie, it doesn't matter. This is, to me, after it cools off, of course, because if it was hot, I wouldn't be able to handle it. So I have this one. I'm working on my 3rd yam right here. And so once I get this peeled, Josh, am I going to put it in the pan in sections or cube it, or just?
I would put it in sections.
In sections, okay. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. I just want to eat it now. Just take a nice little piece. It's so juicy. And is that what you're doing now? You're cutting yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. And so is the idea, so when you put them in the pan, and you cook them, they get kind of softer anyway, right?
Yeah, they get softer. You don't want them to turn to total mush, but you want them, soft.
Right.
You want them softer than.
Right. So in my case, mine is going to be much softer.
Okay.
Because I boiled them a little bit too long. So the idea then is to boil your yams almost halfway done.
I think halfway boil is fine, because it's just time for to absorb the liquid, for the liquid to reduce a little bit, to get absorbed into the carrots and sweet potatoes.
Okay. Well, I hope mine turns out okay because they're pretty done. So we'll see. We have all of these ingredients and we're putting them in one pot.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what's next? What do I put in the pot next?
So now the carrots.
Okay. And this is a pound of carrots. Okay.
Yep.
They go right in there.
I tend to, just
Tend to what?
I just cut them, section them too, just
Okay. Got that. And what's next? I don't have to chop anything else, so I'm going to get rid of this cutting board. Now we put in all of the dried ingredients. So we have I think this is a cup, you said, right? Of raisins, craisins.
Yeah, the craisins.
A cup of craisins, put that in there. And a cup of dried apples. Everything looks so good. Man, when you're preparing a meal like this, everybody, you want to eat first because you wind up eating everything that you're putting in there. I'm trying not to eat because I haven't had breakfast yet. Okay, so I think did you put raisins in there, didn't you? Yeah, I'm not going to put raisins in mine. My audience of one, well, he doesn't like raisins, so I'm going to put raisins in there anyway. So this is 2 tablespoons of raisins, more or less. And Josh, you said earlier off screen that these ingredients are not necessarily, the exact, you don't have to use exact measurements. Is that right?
Yes, this is more, one of the things I like about this kind of cooking is it's very forgiving.
I got that. Okay, so what else is next? We have all of these dry ingredients. I think we're done with that, or
so we put that in the pot or the pan.
What's that?
We put all of those ingredients in the pan.
Right.
And then we combine the orange juice. Orange juice.
That's roughly about 1.5 cups, everybody.
Yeah. And then the brown sugar.
Brown sugar. This is, I forget, did you say about 1/3 cup?
1/3 cup, yeah.
1/3 cup of brown sugar. Okay. And
you got the honey.
And this too is 1/3 cup of honey.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And we have 2 teaspoons of cinnamon.
2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Yum. Starting to smell good over here.
And then we have the teaspoon of salt.
Okay. Teaspoon of salt.
1.5 teaspoons of black pepper.
And how much black pepper?
1.5 teaspoons.
1.5 teaspoons. Black pepper. Okay.
And then that we whisk together.
Okay. Let me get my whisk together. So the point of whisking these together is so that they'll be a combined taste before you put it into the pot.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we just pour the mixture over the vegetables.
Okay, I'll bring my pot over here. All right.
So you want the vegetables around a little over half submerged in the liquid.
Okay.
And then we take 1.5 cups of chicken broth.
I got my chicken broth. Wow, this is like sweet and savory.
Yes, it's sweet and savory. Yep.
Now, I wanted my audience to know that this is water, and cubes, chicken cubes. So you can use vegetable cubes, chicken broth. You could buy chicken broth from the store. Anyway, I poured too much. I did a lot extra, not knowing. So I'm just going to do a cup. This is 1 cup. And I'm going to do a half a cup. My vegetables, they're almost submerged, but not quite. Is that how it's supposed to look?
Yep.
Okay.
And then you put it on a medium to high flame.
Oh, wow. This is going to be delicious. Okay, so I'm going to put this on mine. I'm going to put this on now. And then basically it comes to a boil.
Yeah, to a light, to bubbling.
Right. And then I put the lid on it and turn the light down. And then what? After I turn the light down and cover it, cooks for 45 minutes.
A little stir, and then it stews for around 45 minutes or so.
Okay. Okay.
And then you put in the pineapples. And then you give it a few more minutes for the pineapple to soften a little bit, and then you have it.
Okay. Okay, great. And then once it's done, what does it look like?
So I don't know. Let's see how.
Are you able? Okay? So let me ask you this: is it solid, or is it like when you serve it? How do you serve it?
Yeah, you serve it kind of as a side dish. So like on a dinner plate.
Okay.
Serve it.
So can you put some on a saucer?
Yes. So, can you see this?
Bring it a little bit closer and lift it up some. Lift it up some. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, and turn it around. Let me see which is on the other side.
So you got the sweet potatoes, you got some pineapple chunks.
Oh, yes. Okay, hold it. Turn it around the other way. Yep, stop. Nope. A little bit more. Turn around. Yep. Turn it closer to the stove. No, just the plate itself.
Oh.
Yeah, I just want to. No.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. This is we're all learning here. So bring it a little bit closer, like lift it up, like down some more, down. Stop. Now bring it closer to the screen. Yes. Lift it up. Yes. Okay. So it's a little liquidy.
Yeah.
Keep it down. Keep it down. You're lifting it. Yeah, right there. Don't move. So it's a little liquidy, but I see all of the other ingredients. Wow. That's great. I want mine to look like that when I cook it, but I don't think my sweet potatoes are going to be that. My sweet potatoes are going to be a little bit, what's the word? Soggy.
A little mushy there.
And is that how you eat it, with the fork?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it's like you said, it's on a side dish, right? Yeah. It's not the main dish. It's on a side dish with your other. Okay, so you're eating this during Passover. Yes. And so you have this as a side dish. What else is on your plate? If you were with, your family and everyone, what else is on your plate with that?
So there would be some sort of vegetable, like Brussels sprouts or something like that. And roast chicken.
Yeah.
We do the roast chicken.
Yeah.
Or like brisket, a lot of people have. And that's what a lot of people have.
So I'm getting the picture now. Everybody is around the table, and all of the different meals, including this, is in a serving bowl, and you're passing things around and enjoying and having a great time.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Now, are you doing this tonight?
we are doing this tonight. We are actually going to be outside with a neighbor family.
Ah,
So yeah, so we're doing it socially distanced Seder with another family.
oh my.
And for our for our residents, so I'm first, I have a colleague, also a rabbi. The two of us will conduct the Seder for the community.
Uh-huh.
And because it's a healthcare facility, everyone will have to be in their rooms.
Yeah.
And or we have small groups that congregate, and what we do is we broadcast it. We have an in-house channel, and so
Ah,
we broadcast it so that people can listen, and then we have people zooming in or calling in to read different parts of the of the text. There's a booklet called a Haggadah
yeah.
story, and it has different prayers, so different people participate because they're not in the same room. So they'll call in, or they'll, if they're on Zoom, they'll just recite the prayer on Zoom.
Oh, that is
This is
so
the way
nice.
that we have to bring the community together. And
Yeah.
next year, hopefully, God willing, people will be able to, the whole community will be able to sit together
Yeah.
and be in the same room and enjoy. It's one of the highlights of the year for the residents at this facility, because we usually invite family members and we have multi-generational, intergenerational.
Mm.
It's a very, it is a wonderful experience. And as I described in my blog post, I come from a very traditional family, and we just spend a lot of time. So 3.5, 4 hours of singing,
Mm.
writing different prayers,
Mm.
talking, and as I said, fetching too. Sometimes we move this along. My mom is usually the one who said, "Can we move this along a little bit?" And another person saying, "When do we get to the food?" This is all part of the tradition, and the meal is central, is one of the central aspects, but the storytelling and the singing is just as important.
Sure. Sure. I have one other thing to say, Josh, to ask, but let me put this on the stove so I can at least get it started, and then I'll be right back. While it's heating on high, I don't put the top on, right?
Yeah, I would just bring it to a light boil.
Yes.
And then give it a stir or two.
Yes.
And put the lid on and let it simmer.
Okay, great. Okay, so before we leave, just explain to me, and here are my pineapples. This is the last ingredient that we're going to add, and that's after it gets done, right?
Well, like 5 minutes before it's done.
Okay.
You don't want it to, you don't want, you want the pineapple to get a little soft, but you don't want it to
right.
So,
like my potatoes, like my yams, they're just gonna be a mess. Okay, so explain to us during the Passover, you have, and I'm not even sure how it's worded, but Seder is a part of this, right? Seder.
Well, the Seder is
and spell that.
Seder.
Got it. Okay.
But it's the first E is actually is pronounced A, so it's Seder.
Seder.
Seder. Okay. Yeah. And this is how we open the holiday. Is we have this feast that incorporates the story, that has various messages, and that it's a celebration and a teaching moment, a prayer moment, a singing moment, not a moment, but it combines all of those different aspects of.
So is that what you were saying when you and your family and your siblings and everyone were around the table and you were having Seder before you ate and no?
The whole thing is called a Seder.
Oh, the whole thing.
The whole thing from the beginning where you sing and you tell stories and
Which starts this evening.
you eat the matzah, you eat the bitter herbs. I don't have a Seder plate here to show you.
Okay.
You have some bitter herbs. That's
Okay.
where the horseradish comes in.
Right.
And like a romaine leaf, so kind of a bitter green. And you have the haroset, which is a sweet concoction made of apples and nuts and sweet wine. And you eat these foods to symbolize the bitterness of the oppression and the suffering and the sweetness of the freedom. And the matzah, because when the ancient Hebrews left Egypt on their journey toward freedom, they had to leave in a hurry.
Yes.
So bread takes a long time to bake.
Yes.
Few hours. They didn't have a few hours.
They didn't have a few hours.
They had time to quickly make cakes of dough and then bake them on sun-baked stones, which takes just a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that's why we eat the matzah.
Right.
And actually, one of the things I've learned recently is that in the Ethiopian Jewish community, they make the matzah the same way that it's described in the book of Exodus.
Huh.
They spread oil on a hot stone, very hot stone, and then just place the dough right on the hot stone, and it bakes, fries in just a minute or so.
Wow.
And it's
wow.
They do it really old school.
Yeah.
The Ethiopian matzah is softer. It's not brittle, and it has some, the oil and you put a little salt, so it has some flavor to it. I'm going to try making it. I don't know if I'll get to make it this year, but you can actually make it on the skillet. There's a recipe that looks really delicious.
Yeah.
So there are many different traditions of how you make the matzah, and different Jewish cultures make the matzah in different ways, and they have different textures and flavors. But the main thing is that they're not risen bread; it's unleavened bread, and it bakes pretty quickly.
Yes.
And you eat it to symbolize the freedom journey. And then you say blessings and prayers, songs of praise. You quote different parts of the Hebrew Bible of the Old Testament that describe the Exodus from Egypt.
Yes.
And one of the most important passages is, in every generation, we must examine how it is that we leave servitude and bondage and go toward freedom. And there is a senior rabbi in town, Rabbi Arthur Waskow, who talks about how, Pharaoh was the oppressor. And so he talks about, well, in what ways am I the oppressor?
Yeah, sure.
In what ways am I part of participating in oppression? And in what ways am I being oppressed? And how do I take the lesson of the Pharaoh and be the unpharaoh.
Yes,
You know,
yes, absolutely.
be,
Hold on, I hear my food, so I want to
okay.
give it a good stir. It started to just boil slightly, so um, so I have it on like a medium to low.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so just let that be combined, let that cook so that all of the ingredients can marry together.
Yes.
And then after that, I'll put, excuse me, I'll put my pineapples in.
Hmm.
Okay, okay. I did not mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to get that.
Oh, so basically, one of the things we need to figure out is how, as I said, how to not be the pharaoh
Yeah.
in the story, how to promote freedom, how to be part of the solution, basically,
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
part of the problem.
That's right. That's right. Well, Rabbi Josh, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
We once my food finishes cooking, I will come back on by myself because I know that both of us have to go. And I'll show my dish. But I just wanted to say thank you. And then when we meet next week, I'm going to show you my finished product.
Okay. I'm looking.
So, huh?
I'm looking forward.
Thank you. So I'm a little nervous, but about my yams being too mushy, but we'll see how it turns out. And so next week we are going to be cooking what together?
We'll be doing it's called the fried matzah.
Okay. Okay. And celebration. Okay, great. Well, listen, hey, thank you again, Rabbi Josh, and thank you again for tuning in to Seasoned on Purpose. It's savory, it's delicious, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Go ahead and hit that bell so that you'll be notified the next time I'm on, so you won't miss our next session cooking this fried matzah, right? Isn't that what you said? Yes. Yep. Okay, everybody. We'll see you later. Josh, we'll see you later. See you next week. Oh, by the way, everybody, I wanted to tell you that Josh had referred to this blog that he wrote for me. And check it out on seasonedonpurpose.com. It's a weekly feasts blog that I put up every week. And I asked Josh to write something with regard to in celebrating the Passover. And so he did. So I'm very honored about that. So go ahead and check it out over there. Okay, everybody. We'll see you next time. Josh, talk to you soon.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, hey, everybody. Here is my version of Tzimmes. And I hope it looks good. It looks good to me. So my friend Josh said when they're just about done to go ahead and add in my pineapples. And so that's what I'm doing now. And it looks good, I think. What do you think? Well, here it is, everybody. It's done. I don't know if my yams are supposed to be this loosey-goosey. I'll find out from you, those of you who have made it before, and from my friend Josh when I speak with him next week. It's very hot, as you can see. So I'm just going to taste just a little bit. Here's a carrot. I can have a carrot, and I have some yams right here because it's very hot. And I'm going to taste it. Here we go. It's savory, it's sweet, and it's comforting, actually. It is very sweet, and I'm not that much of a sweet eater, but for those of you that are, you can eat this with joy. Those of you that don't eat too many sweets, you can have a couple of carrots. But it really is good. I encourage you to try it. Check us out next week when we continue with Josh, and he's going to be cooking up another dish for the Passover celebration. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think about this dish. And I'll see you next time. And remember, you make it your opportunity to make it a great day. It's a beautiful day outside here, and I hope that you get a chance to enjoy it. Okay, bye for now. See ya. I'm going to continue to eat a little.